Okay, in part one, we had divided up the wheel on the outside here into its 24 constituent parts, 15-degree wedges all the way around. We now have a frame and a color wheel. What I want everybody to do is to grab both of those. So hold down Shift, grab both of the um, layers, and drag them down to duplicate. Okay, now you've got a duplicate, so you've got something that you can go back to in case you make a mistake. So what I want you to do then is I want you to take the original two and shut them off. You can even probably go so far as to lock them. You have to have them on in order to lock them. And then I think we can shut them off now that they're locked and they're saved. Now what I want to do now is I want to take the color wheel itself and the frame and go to Layer, Merge, Visible. And I want to be on the color wheel layer. So we're going to do Layer, Merge, Visible. That puts everything onto one layer. This is the raw color wheel, the one that has the colors are gradients inside of these wedges. We're going to take each one of these and turn it into a pure color. So I'm going to zoom in on one here and show that to you. And probably I'm going to choose one that has the greatest amount of gradient in it. This blue one down here, blue to blue purple, is kind of a good one to start with. So I'm going to take and zoom in on that one and show you what I mean. Okay, now that we've taken both the color wheel and its frame and combined them in layers, it's going to make the process of making each one of these wedges into a pure color a lot easier. Because what we can do is we can use our magic wand tool and we can click on the area itself. So you've got these two parts and you'll notice, see, it's trying to pick one or the other side of this. If I hold Shift and click, it gets the whole wedge. That's what I want you to do. I want you to get the whole wedge. Now what I want to do is I want to change this wedge to a color that's different than this color and different than that color. So in order to do that, I've got to figure out where to choose from. And this is where everybody's color wheel is going to turn out a little bit different than the person that somebody else is doing it. So I'm going to take, in this particular case, I'm going to sample my color from the middle. Now you can see it's darker on this side than it is on that side. Where I sampled my color from was directly in the middle. So when I take this wedge now and I use my paint brush tool to do it over with, I'm going to take and color this whole wedge one color. You'll notice I just changed the whole wedge itself to this color right here. It's different than this color and it's different than that color. I'm going to now let go of that and you can see it's no longer a gradient. It's darker than this color, but it's lighter than that color. And that's what I want everybody to do. Go all the way around the color wheel, take each one of these, and the the delicate thing about all of this is where you choose that color from when you're doing it. And as you're doing it, you want to choose, like up here in these reds, it's going to be kind of hard to do because the gradient is so similar. So in that particular case, if I was going to make a wedge of this one here is a solid wedge, I might say, for instance, choose my color from this side so as to make this wedge different from this one. When I go to change this one, I might choose my color from here so as to make this wedge different from that one, but also different from this one. And when you get done, you go all the way around. You can go in just as we did right here, and you can take that color and bring it up, and you can see what it says its hexadecimal code value is. What you're shooting for is to make sure that each one of these wedges all the way around is different. So if you get done and one looks too similar to the other, go in here and take a look at that. And if it's just slightly off, tweak it just a little bit and recolor the whole wedge in, just to make sure that it's different than the two wedges on either side of it. Does that make sense? So I'm going to hold down my Alt key with my magic wand or my magnifying tool selected so that I can zoom out and take a look at the whole thing. And um, we'll look at this again when all of these are done. So here's the color wheel with all of the colors finally done in as pure colors in the 24-step color wheel. As reference, I'm going to go ahead and show you the original color wheel so that you can see how different it is from the gradient colors. There are the gradient colors. You can see how different they are once you've changed them to solid color wedges all the way around. This is what I want everybody to do. Now, what we're going to do with this, now that we've got this done, is, as I said, each one of you is going to be assigned one of these colors. I'm going to stop this again for a moment and bring up the one that has the numbers in it so that you can see that. And I can go ahead and reference that as I do the rest of this. So hold on just a moment. So here they are with the numbers assigned to them. As I said, some people got purple. So there's at least 3 purples here that we can divide from. There are different blues or different greens. If I remember correctly, the green that I had selected was like somewhere over in here. So I'm going to take number 5 to show you what it is that I want you to do with this next. The next thing is going to involve finding the pure color to gray equivalent. And there's a file located in the Canvas tab at the bottom, which is known as the pure color to gray template. So now what I'm going to do, if you'll notice where my color is down here selected on my color sampler, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my eyedropper tool. I'm going to move it over to 5 and I'm going to click on it. You'll notice, oops, I'm on the right one here. Where's my, come on, here we go. You can see my eyedropper tool moving around there. Watch what happens to my foreground color over on the tool palette when I click here. Notice that it's changed. It went from that blue color to this green color. So now I have this color, and that's the color that I'm going to be dealing with, that hexadecimal code color right there. All right, so I know that now, and I'm going to pause this again for a moment so that I can bring up that slide for you, that template, and we can go to the pure color to gray. Hold on. Okay, I went into my Canvas tab and selected this template, drag it to my other desktop and opened it from there. So now it is open in Photoshop. This is what it will look like. There's a white background, there's a black frame, and there are 4 different text fields down here for you to deal with. These things may say something different in them, but I'll show you in a minute what I want you to do. All right, so we're going to be creating a new layer in here, and it's going to live in between the frame and the background. And it's going to occupy, or it's going to be occupied rather, by that color right there. Remember, I'm selecting color number 5. So what I need to do is I need to take my eyedropper tool again and grab that. So I've got it right there. It should follow me over to the other file, which is open. When I go back over here, see it's still there. All right, so then what I want to do is I want to take my paint bucket tool and fill the screen with that color. All right, so the file itself is 11 inches wide. What I want to do then is I want to give myself, again, a dividing line. So I'm going to go to View, and I'm going to select my new guide layout. And I'm going to get rid of everything except the 2x2 row. Everything else seems to be okay here. I've got a lot of extras showing where things were when I first put them in to line everything up in order to make the template itself. And that's okay. So I've got it divided to 2x2. I'm going to say okay. Because what I want to do is I want to now take this half of the color right here, and I'm using my marquee tool and I'm dragging around that because I want to capture just that. So I'm going to go up to Edit, and I'm going to do Copy, and then I'm going to do File, New. And I'm going to let this file be the size that the marquee tool selected. So I'm going to say Create, and you'll notice that it has made a template exactly the same size as the one that I just copied it from. And now I'm going to take and I'm going to fill that with the color. This is where it gets interesting, because what I want you guys to do now is I want you to take this color and turn it into the gray equivalent value of the hue from that template we just brought it from. So in order to do that, you're going to go up to Image, and you're going to go to Mode, Grayscale. And of course you want to discard all of the extra, and you want to turn it into that gray color. That gray color value right there is exactly the same value as the color that we just brought from the other template. So now I want to capture this whole thing. So I'm going to do a Control A, Control C. If you're on a Mac, that's a Command A, Command C. That means select all, copy all. And now we're going to go back to the template. There's where we took it from, and we're going to do Control V for paste. Okay, now the last thing that we need to do is we need to fill in these fields down here to create this file that you're going to turn in. In order to do that, we need to first of all know which color that is, and that is this text layer right here. And if we remember correctly, if we go back to our color wheel, I was in color number 5. You may be someplace else on here, but I was color number 5. So I know that that's color number 5. I have to go back to, and I have to go to the color layer here, beyond that one, grab my text tool, and type in 5. So I'm color number 5. Now I need to know what the red, green, blue equivalents are, or the RGB colors. In order to do that, I'm going to go to the color sample itself, and using my eyedropper tool, but it's already selected here. So all I need to do is to bring this up and find out what the RGB was. The RGB is right here. It's 188, 254, and 26. So I can go back to my thing. I'm going to make sure that I am, first of all, on the red layer here. So I'm going to go up here with my text tool, and I'm going to type in the number 188. Now I'm going to grab the green layer, and I know that green is 254, so I'm going to be on the green layer. Oop, gotta make sure I'm going to have to at the end and put in 254. And the blue layer, of course, is 26. So now that you're almost done with this, what I want you to do is I want you to take one of these 4 and make a duplicate copy of it. This time I'm doing the color layer, and drag this down to the bottom right here and change that to your name. Okay, so make sure it's your whole name. Everybody knows me as Tees. You know that I'm Tees Bowman, but put your whole name on that. And then this is the file that you're going to be turning in. It'll be a Photoshop file. So you're going to be turning in the color wheel as it was when you divided it all up in its 24 constituent parts. That's part 1. And for part 2, you're going to be turning in the color wheel redone from its gradients to pure colors all the way around all 24, and label all of them 1 through 24, just as I have. And then you're also going to create this master color or hue to grayscale template. So there's 2 parts to part 2, 1 part to part 1. Okay? I'm sure there'll be questions. Anyway, that brings us to the end of project number 10, part 2. What you have now is you have your pure color and you have your gray equivalent. That's what we're going to need in order to go into the next phase of this, which is making a pure hue to gray transition And when we're going to take that and position it up and down on a grayscale, and then from that we will be creating the hue chroma triangle of your color. All right. Anyway, all for now. See you guys in the next video.